Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 80 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choit. What's up? If you're new here, what I do is interview people from all walks of life, often comedians and other artists about their lives and careers. It's casual conversation, but I also ask everyone to highlight someone they love, someone who they admire, who influenced them, inspired them, supported them. For more, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's People We Love Podcast. And the Instagram handle is at People We Love Podcast. And you can find me on Instagram as well, Adam Choit, my name, if you want to follow me too. And remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And of course, positive reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated as well. So, today's guest is TV film art department extraordinaire, set dresser, Floyd Conder. Floyd's been in the business over 10 years now, but before then, he grew up mostly in Detroit, Michigan, before moving to Los Angeles to pursue acting. Eventually, though, Floyd fell into working in the art department and fell in love with building sets and seeing how productions actually get made. Along the way, he met someone who would be his mentor and friend, the very talented production designer, Jimmy Cuomo. Let's just get started. Here's Floyd Conder. So it's good to see you today, Floyd Conder. Thanks for joining me on the Zoom. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Adam. It's always great to see you, brother.
Oh, I appreciate that. How are you holding up there during this super fun 2020?
Oh, it's great. I've, of course, been out of work since, March, early March, because that's when all of Hollywood shut down. I got a show lined up for September.
You got work.
I do. I'm taking over as the on-set dresser for Good Trouble. The on-set dresser needed a break. He's going to join the swing gang that helps put the set deck together, and I'm just going to fill in with them. They're a great bunch of guys that I've worked with before. So
What production was that?
Good Trouble. That is on the Freeform, a spin-off of The Fosters.
Cool. Yeah, why don't we get into it and get into your life? Where were you born?
I was actually born on Parris Island, the Marine base. My father was not ready for civilian life after the Vietnam War, so he became a drill instructor for the Marines. And that's where I was born.
And Parris Island is where exactly located?
South Carolina, the sweatiest, hottest part, because I was born yesterday, ironically. And little fact here.
Oh, yeah, happy birthday. I told you already though before I get it.
Yeah.
But happy birthday again.
Birthday with Adam's sister. So
that's true. Also a previous guest.
Yeah. So
more importantly, previous guests.
Previous guests
not sisters and friends, but yeah. Everybody out there is learning the important facts. So you were born on a Marine base.
Yeah.
In Parris Island, and you grew to a drill instructor.
Yeah.
And what are your earliest memories of?
Well, it was
being on the base. Were you there that long?
No, I wasn't there long at all. My dad got out shortly after I was born, and then we traveled all over to Michigan, Wisconsin. We eventually settled down on a mountain in Missouri, no running water, no electricity, and my dad decided to become a lumberjack.
He's an eccentric. He's a little bit of an eccentric character.
He was a goof, that's for sure. He decided he wanted to chop down the wood, haul it out, bring it to a lumber mill, his own, cut them all down to boards, and ship them out. Unfortunately, he lost his ass. My mom got tired of, not having running water. So she left him to go live with his brother and, his brother's wife in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where eventually they left and joined them because, they didn't divorce, but she just needed a shower. She just couldn't deal with heating her own water anymore.
Where were you during all of this?
Oh, I went with my mom.
That's what I thought. And this was when you were how old? You probably.
So I was from the age of 2 to 4. I I was potty trained on a mountain. So, of course, with no running water, you just go off the deck and pee, which is one of my earliest memories is my aunt freaking out when I walked out onto the porch of her trailer park and started pissing off the porch and have her freaking out about, that wasn't proper protocol for potty use in a trailer park.
What is the proper protocol?
Apparently, you have to use a toilet.
Yeah.
I had no idea as a 4-year-old growing up on a mountain.
Yeah, you were using Mother Nature.
Yeah, it was great. Went all downhill. It was perfect.
Wow. Okay. This is already a unique. You got already quite a unique story.
Yeah, and from there, eventually, my dad came after he sold his half of the mountain back to his partner. He came to Tulsa, and then we eventually moved to Shreveport, Louisiana, and that's where I started my first bit of schooling. It was a really cool time. That's where I saw my first music video, which I remember it was Eye of the Tiger. So that was my first memory of getting blown away by MTV.
Was a music video featured Rocky and like Rocky clips also, or no?
I know. I just remember the like really over 80s hair rocking bad like music video, and it just having it blow my mind.
Survivor.
Yeah,
That's the name of the band, right?
I believe so.
Eye of the Tiger, Survivor.
But eventually, my dad realized that if I was to have a proper education, it wasn't going to be in Shreveport, Louisiana. So we moved back. No, we moved back to where he grew up, and my mom, where they met, back to Detroit, Michigan. So I ended up growing up just north of Detroit. My family are like 5 generations of Irish Detroiters, like super deep-seated, all Irish, hanging out in Detroit. And that's where I ended up growing up. That's where I graduated high school, dropped out of college, went to Second City of Detroit, where I graduated their conservatory program. I had Keegan Michael Key was my teacher there in Detroit before he hit it big. It was a really cool time.
But did you know Eminem?
Well, there, I called him Marshall.
Yeah. People can't see your sarcastic face, but they can hear your laughter. So I assume people know that you're kidding. Or are you?
Am I?
Yeah. Everybody who's from Detroit does not know Eminem personally.
Nope.
That's not always the case. What about going back a little bit, like elementary school in Detroit, just north of Detroit? What do you remember? What kind of kid were you? Because it sounds like your family and your dad just at least somewhat kind of settled down in this part of the country back where they grew up. So what were you like in elementary school, and what do you remember like from
I
that
was
time?
a skinny, dorky loner.
Yeah.
Who I didn't make friends until middle school, really, because I was just weird and aloof and ran around the yards on my own. Played sports. My dad had me, playing baseball since I was 6. But I was also the smallest child in my grade.
Yeah.
Until my sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, I actually can kind of relate to that stuff for sure. Being not exactly the biggest kid in school or whatever in elementary school, it can be hard to make friends too.
Yeah,
at any age.
It really was, and I didn't have I had a great imagination and a wonderful set of friends like in a neighborhood that I grew up in. So once I got home from school, I was fine. And I had a big family that was really close and super loving and supportive. So, we always had cousins and aunts and uncles, and the houses that I grew up on were on lakes. So we were always in the water or on these giant hills for the winter because, you a ton of snow back east, and either ice skating, sledding, playing all night on these giant yards and forests growing up. So I had a lot of fun. I was a weird little kid.
Do you miss sort of that cold weather and the family, and I'm guessing maybe even Christmas and that and Michigan? Do you miss sort of that wintry stuff? Like, because you've been in Los Angeles for quite a while. Do you miss Michigan?
Oh yeah, no, I miss that East Coast seasons. I miss having a fall. I miss having a spring. Um, I love winter, but I don't. It was amazing. Winter was the most perfect season until you started driving,
Right.
and it was like from 6 to 16. Winter was the greatest thing on the planet. The moment you started driving in winter, you realized how awful it was, and you had to shovel, and then you had to clean off your car, and you had to worry about accidents, and then all the fun and joy of winter got sucked right out of it.
I think it's almost the accidents are like the least, like they should be the number one concern, but I think looking back at the times that I spent in cold weather and winter, it's more that the shoveling the snow out, as you said, and that more than the what was the other thing you said? Shoveling snow, the driving. Yeah,
Cars.
scraping the car. Like that stuff's more annoying. Like that's not as bad as the accidents on. And it also like takes you longer to go places because people are driving slower, and you should drive slower. But
Yeah, yeah, of course.
those are the challenges of winter.
But if you got to have the fun where you got to go like skiing, sledding, if you guys had what are those snowmobiles, like those were a blast.
Yeah, it looks pretty. Also, the snow. It looks pretty and it's fun.
You had to snuggle up once you got a little bit older, and then you had a reason to snuggle up with a special someone. That
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah, a car accident with a car skidding every so often happens, but you got to take the good with the bad in life, I guess. What about middle school? Because you said you kind of became more social in middle school, and what were you into? Maybe besides sports, even were you into music or art, or what were you
You
watching
know,
on TV, movies, stuff like that?
in middle school, that's when I got into Boy Scouts. Love Boy Scouts. I was in Boy Scouts from, essentially, I think it was when I could get in it when I was like 12 or 10 or 12, and then I was in it until I was 18. I had a great troop. We did high adventure stuff. I went whitewater rafting and rappelling and uh, sailing on the Great Lakes, and like we did these amazing things all the time. Um, that was a real part of my youth, and one of the things that was a part of it that ended up not even realizing it is that's where I fell in love with acting. And how that happened is like on your campouts around the campfire, you would tell skits and do these like little jokes and these little shows that we would do. And after a couple of years, um, I got so into it, and I knew all the skits and I knew all the stuff. We repeated a lot of things, and they were just classic jokes and funny random kid jokes. But I knew them, and I got to be to where I could just jump in at any point and really take over. And even my dad was like, "That's when I saw something special. Was that you were destined for something, you know, more than around a campfire because you just had that spark, and you would jump in and you would be the moment and be the ringleader and the MC of it." And that was kind of my introduction to theater, which I parlayed that into high school. I parlayed that my 1 year in college was a blast, and I was in the theater department. They asked me not to come back at a Saginaw Valley State University, heck of a alma mater. Um,
They
but
asked you not to come back.
I literally sat down with the my oh god, what is his name? The counselor, and he said, uh, "You paid money to be here, and you showed up every once in a while to class, so you were in your shows. Um, but we will not be needing your tuition from any point here forward. Thank you very much for your time here at Saginaw Valley.
You partied and you didn't do the work, but you showed up for like the
Yeah,
acting, the performing.
essentially that's kind of what it was. It's like I love the theater program. I made a lot of cool friends, joined a fraternity, had a blast for a year, and they asked me not to come back. But then that's all right because I went back downstate. I still had the acting bug, and that's when I found Second City of Detroit. Second City is an amazing school. Like they have it out here in LA. Great teachers. It's a wonderful program. And I did a 2-year conservatory program, and I had amazing teachers. I had Keegan Michael Key for a couple classes, who was Key and Peele. Like he's amazing. Mark Evan Jackson was one of my teachers, and like if you look up Mark Evan Jackson, he has been in everything from the most recent Godzillas. He was the devil in The Good Place. Like he is everywhere. He's hilarious. Great teachers. They were super kind. And that's where I learned improv comedy. And that's what kind of propelled me to come to LA. And that's what brought me here was I was going to be rich and famous as a superstar actor.
I noticed you said was and not going to be.
No, we found out that starving artist is actually a thing.
Yeah.
I met my wife back in Detroit. She had just finished getting 2 different degrees from Central Michigan University. She's a theater major and a broadcasting major. And when we were in Detroit, she booked like 5 commercials. She had 5 auditions, booked 5 commercials. I just finished Second City. We're like, we got this.
Yeah, you had momentum.
Yeah, we're like, let's do this. Let's either go to New York or LA. Which one should we go to? And as we were deciding that, that was on our 1-year anniversary on 9/11, 2001.
Oh man.
Yeah. So our first date was 9/11, 2000. We were super excited. We were deciding we'd already booked the plane tickets to LA to kind of scout it. We had just gone to New York 3 weeks prior, middle of August, for a family reunion on her side because she has all Italian Long Island family. And so, hey, are you guys Italian Long Island or are you just Long Island?
Jewish and from Long Island, yeah.
Okay.
Same thing.
And so once that happened, we realized that we just can't go to New York right now. So we, in December, ended up moving out to LA at the end of 2001. And we've been here ever since. We did our first couple of years doing background for film and television because we took really bad advice. And they said, oh, that's how you're going to break into film and television if you're a background artist. We're like, oh, yeah, wow, okay, yeah, we'll do that. Being early 20s, naive Midwesterners, we just believed whatever we heard. And
well, work is still work. Work is work, but people. I've had this other conversation with other actors and performers that you could be very easily become like a background person. Like that's like what you are, what you do. You get stuck in just like that job, and you end up not pursuing your goals.
Nope, and that's kind of exactly what happened. And we never got into be a union backgrounds. We were doing minimum wage work and not being able to survive. So after a couple of years, we had to make the switch into like real life just to live. And so we ended up doing property management for a couple of years. In fact, I ended up doing property management as a side gig up until about a year ago.
Yeah.
Even since I've been, doing art department now for the past decade, easily.
When you got into the property management, what did you kind of like stop any any and all sort of goals in entertainment or pursuits in entertainment, be it acting or in production or otherwise? Did you kind of like were doing the property management full time entirely?
Yeah, because it ended up being a 40-plus hour gig a week, and
Right.
I fell into a really good company. Like I had a 401k and full medical, and uh, like it was wonderful. It was a really great company to work for. And then after a couple of years, I got fired for being sad.
You got fired for being sad.
Yeah, yeah.
How
So
come I? Yeah. Come on.
yeah,
I,
it was right before my Christmas break. In fact, it was the day after I took my Christmas break. They called me into the office, and I was like, "Oh yeah, sure. I'm leaving for Michigan to go back home for the holidays." And they're like, "Yeah, we just have a quick talk with you." I'm like, "Oh yeah, no problem." And there was my property manager, because I was an assistant manager of like this 360 unit property, massive unit in Moore Park, driving an hour and a half every day to go to, coming back, living in the Valley, North Hollywood area. And they said, "You're just not happy anymore." And I was like, "What?" Oh yeah, no, I hated doing it. I was so sad. I was so pathetic. I let everything slip. I was being horrible. I was not doing that company any favors. And I had been with them for a long time, and they were really great, and they were really sweet. The company, they're like, "Well, hey, you can't work at this property anymore, but we want to give you your old job, which is pays less. So it would be a demotion." I'm like, "Can I think about it over my Christmas break?" And they're like, "Of course, go ahead, use all your vacation time." And I was like, "Okay, I will do all of that." And so I had banked like 3 weeks of vacation days. And so I used them all. I used all my vacation days. And then at the end of it, I said, "You know what? I'm going to let you fire me. I loved your company. Thanks, guys. Bye." Click. And uh, at that point, I was managing uh, my own building I was living in as well. So not only was I had two different management gigs on separate things, I had my rent for free. And
Nice.
so at this point, I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it should be fun. And I took a couple months off and cut to St. Patrick's Day. I had a buddy of mine from Second City of LA gave me a call because, I'd made contacts and did some networking. And I had a group of friends that we did short films with. And, we were still kind
Yeah.
of pursuing stuff on the weekends. And
Right. Yeah. You're still around production.
yeah, and I'm still in my young early 20s, so I'm still
Right.
partying and still hanging out.
With
We're
people who
still,
are.
yeah, exactly. And so they said, "Hey, I have a buddy of mine over at this place. He has to do some art department stuff. Do you want to come and just, throw some stuff around?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. I'm not doing anything. I'm out of work." And we go, and it was all these art department guys, and it was for the company that had Monster House and Monster Garage. And so he had this giant warehouse, and he had all of the cars from Monster Garage. If you remember that, where like Jesse James, they would build these insane cars that did crazy things.
Monster trucks.
No, no, no. Monster Garage was a show where like
Yeah. No, but it wasn't monster trucks. Okay. It was custom car stuff.
yes, like and crazy custom cars that like there was a Rolls Royce that also had a shit sucker uh, thing in it that actually cleaned out outhouses.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, like if you ever watch the show, it's pretty funny. It was a
That's
cool show,
that's wild.
and there's all these custom motorcycles because it was Jesse James with California Customs, and so there was all these awesome, huge things. There was a plane car like that actually flew, you know, dozens of cars, dozens of things, other stuff. And we were cleaning up the shop, moving around so they could make more room for other productions. It was with original productions. They also did Ice Road Truckers and Deadliest Catch, and so they had a lot of really big time shows they were working on. And I ended up working for them for a couple of years because it was like I said, it was St. Patrick's Day. Halfway through the day, they say, "Hey, we need to go upstairs to the boss's office." I'm like, "Oh, okay." They're like lunchtime, so we go upstairs, and it was all us art guys hanging out doing stuff. And they're like, "All right, here's your beer." I'm like, "Oh, okay, here's my beer." And they hand me some whiskey, and I'm like, "This is whiskey." And they're like, "Yeah, it's St. Patrick's Day." I'm like, "I know, but we're at work." And they're like, "Yeah, all right, well, finish your beer and your whiskey and get back to work." I'm like, "I can do all this. I want to be here with you people forever. This is
Yeah,
amazing."
that's nice.
And that was my introduction to art department. And so these
Wow.
cats, there were these rock and roll guys that ended up doing a bunch of fun shows. I ended up tagging along with over the next like 5-6 years, and it was a blast.
Was that first job? Was it like on like a lot, a studio lot, or at like a production? Was
It
on
was at
like
a
where?
production warehouse in Burbank.
Oh, where? Okay, yeah, because I'm trying to picture if it's got a lot of cars, that must be like a big space, and if they have other shows besides the one with the cars, then they must have even more space.
Yeah,
So
it was a
big
cool
productions.
company, a lot of fun, and that was an interesting introduction because it was loose and fast and free, and we partied hard and had fun, but we built like really cool stuff, worked for that company, which parlayed into other shows and meeting other people as well. Um, but it was a really like a fun time. But it was what parlayed my acting experience over into production. And I fell in love with production after kind of seeing how everything was made on that side of it. And I switched gears and I kind of never looked back.
That's awesome. It sounds like you became way less sad.
Yeah, I was like that. And now you cut to, and that was, God, when was that? Like in between 2006 and 2010, in that time there is when I made that switch. And now I'm local 44. I'm a union guy for the art department. It's amazing. I make a great living. I have great insurance. I've been on amazing shows. Seen a lot of really crazy productions. I'm living this kind of life that I always dreamt of. I just thought I would be in front of the camera. And ironically, I fell in love with being behind the camera.
That's awesome. And you said you met a certain person who helped you early on in your art department career,
Yeah, Jimmy
Jimmy
Cuomo.
Cuomo. Yeah, what
Uh,
was he one of those original
no,
guys?
no. So but he was from the crew that I met from original productions, like those crazy, wacky guys that we went and did other shows, and they brought me on. And Jimmy was an independent contractor, designer, and he did these like crazy game shows. And like one of the first productions I did with him was Richard Simmons' workout video. So I met Richard Simmons, and we did this crazy, like sparkly, giant video with Richard Simmons, and
And you're
met him.
creating all of that. You're creating everything that's on that is seen on camera, all
Yeah,
the whole
so
background basically.
he
Correct?
designed it, and I was part of the crew that built those sets. So I built all the sets that Richard Simmons did his fun little workouts in front of. And then we did different game shows, and we did stuff for other productions. And I ended up becoming Jimmy Cuomo's lead carpenter. So not only I was his lead carpenter, I kind of was his lead man, which I put together his crews. I ended up running his show for multiple years. He really gave me the kind of knowledge and direction on how to put together sets, and gave me the working ability to actually be someone who could build sets, to work on shows during sets. And he gave me all of that opportunity to be where I am now. And he is someone that he has since semi-retired. He does a couple little shows where now he's retired out in the Palm Desert, and he does a couple small stage shows. And every year he still volunteers for Best in Drag. It's this amazing benefit for AIDS for AIDS, and it is a drag queen like beauty pageant that is ridiculous, and it's
In
hilarious.
LA or in Palm Desert?
No, it's in Los Angeles. We have it. The Orpheum has donated the Orpheum every year for the last like 13 years, and it has like these huge celebrities are the judges. We go in and we show up at 6 a.m. We build this giant elaborate set, and we're all volunteers, because it's this huge thing that helps families. So like, if you ever get a chance, look at Best in Drag. It's for the organization AIDS for AIDS. It's spectacular and it's hilarious. And it raises that one particular show. Just the box office is about $450,000.
Damn.
And then like throughout the show, you're literally throwing money as a waterfall from the top of the balconies where we always sit. And we're just throwing cash over, and it just cascades the front. Then the judges are outbidding each other. Like, I say it's $10,000, and they're like, no, we give 10,000 more. And then it ends up being like, you see almost $1 million raised for this organization of one night. It's amazing. And he's the one who designed it, brought us along, and I've been doing it for over 10 years now. And I love it.
That's this particular show.
Yeah. And it was
do all the performers know you and Jimmy?
Everyone knows Jimmy.
Everyone knows Jimmy.
Yeah. And I get hit on all the time because I'm the random straight guy, who has, clean build and is up there swinging a hammer. So you're flattered. Oh yeah. No. And everyone's amazing. And
no one's ever crossed the line.
Did I ever cross the line? No. Do they cross the line?
Anyone, I guess. Yeah.
There's no line. But like, there are all these crazy drag queens and these amazing outfits being completely inappropriate for multiple hours. But
that's true.
It's amazing. But he introduced me to that. And if you backtrack, when he first did that, like when I first saw that because he donates his time. He donates the set. Like, there wouldn't be a set without him, and it's all his. And he gets like thousands of dollars. He just puts forward to make sure that these organizations, these families, these people suffering from this horrible disease get it. Like, it was amazing to see someone so caring, who's done so much. Like, Jimmy was the producer, set designer for Kids Incorporated, like back in the 80s. Like, he was the art director for Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like, it was amazing. Like, this guy has been around for so long and done so much. And he is amazing for his crews. Like, you learn a lot from a great leader. And you see a guy who would always stand up for his crew and demand proper payment and demand proper respect. And whatever the issue might be, whether it's safety or working hours or even just payment or simple things like who needs to be fed when, he always stepped up for his crew. And I learned a lot from watching and being under him as his lead man. He was always fair. He always paid well. And he made sure that people were put first in Los Angeles, which doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
And so
I can't believe that. I can't believe you would say something like that.
Yeah. What? People get taken advantage in Hollywood? Who does such a thing?
No, yeah. That's cool. He sounds like an awesome person.
And he is, and he's spectacular. And his husband is amazing that we've eventually fell in love with. His dad was super proud of the man he became, and We grew to love all the cheesecakes they would make at the Christmas parties every year, and like it was just this really great family dynamic for Hollywood, which is really interesting because you don't often think that you hear that a gay man would have an amazing family dynamic without having children. Yet he did it for everyone. He made sure that everyone was taken care of. That his father was always respected, and that he shown love to whoever was part of his circle.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you carry that stuff with you for a long time, and it's always amazing to see him every year and work with them, and take those small things you learn and you apply it to whatever you're doing now. And it's funny because I only work with him now, building the sets for Best in Drag, but I take those lessons wherever I go.
Yeah, that's cool. That's almost kind of what I was leading into what I was about to ask is like I guess it'd be kind of the opposite of what you told me about working with him and working for him to some degree. But what are some of the things you notice on productions that aren't going so well? I guess in your department or otherwise, like when Jimmy's not your boss, and like what are some of the challenges on other productions? What are some of the nightmare stories maybe? Or have there been nightmare stories in production?
I've been fairly lucky here in Hollywood.
It's not always one person's fault or a department's fault or a boss's fault, these nightmare stories in production either. So
no, I have very few like crazy nightmare stories. I have, like, there was one production that it was kind of a nightmare story. And that was a cute little show. It was a friend of mine. She was designing it. She brought me on as the art director, lead man, on-set dresser / everything else. And the movie's art budget, I think, was $3,000.
This is an independent film.
Yeah, and it was actually a series. So
independent, a TV series.
No, a movie series. Like, this was like the 5th one of these movies that they had made.
Okay.
And it was
for TV kids movies. Is that what you said?
Kind of, except I don't think they were made for TV. I think they were just made as like independent.
I see. Made hoping to be on TV.
Yeah, like exactly. But they had major stars and reoccurring stars, and but it was such a low budget thing that when we were doing it, the movie itself probably would have been fine, except it had horrible assistant directors, and it killed the entire production. Like, the actors were great; they were super fine. They knew they were doing this low budget, ridiculous kids like movie, and they were great. Like, you had Dean Cain, who was hilarious. He's another Michigan boy. Actually played for the University of Michigan. And then you had great guys, wonderful lead actors, a bunch of great comic actors. And then you had an AD who thought that this was the Titanic, and was one of those kids that got picked on as a little kid but didn't take it very well, and the moment he got power, he turned into the bully.
Wow.
So, like, he was just horrible, and that made this like little 3-week production just unbearable. Where
how come he wasn't fired?
Because it was 3-week production.
Yeah, it's like
there's no money, and
it's like, let's just do it already. And then it's like 2 days with him. Then it's 3 days with him. Then it's like, all right, let's just, I guess. Yeah. But it's not an overall good experience working with this particular person.
It's one of the few times I almost got in a fist fight with someone for just being an asshole. Like, it was like ridiculous,
Wow,
calling it.
That stinks.
Yeah, like, we're a department of 2. We were the prop department, the set deck department. There's only 2 of us. Normally, you have a prop department that has a prop master, and then prop assistant, then an on-set prop person, and then a couple people below it. And then you have your set deck where you have your first you have your designer, then you have your decorator, and then you have your lead man, and then you have a set deck crew, and then you have an on-set dresser, you know, and then you have a construction crew from your art department side, and your
In
painter.
an ideal world.
In an ideal world, you have all this. That's like a production of like 60, 70 people if it's a big show. And there was 2 of us doing this entire movie for $3,000. And that included our pay.
Damn. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So like we've all done, people in LA, we've all done like low budget bullshit stuff, but what makes it work is that we're all kind of in it together. We all know like, hey, this is a learning experience. We'll be together. It's a shitty show. We know it's a shitty rate, but let's come together and make it happen. But this guy was a douchebag who had just done like a shitty independent film that got a little bit of juice. And so he thought he was, God's gift to LA because he did a film in Oregon that made it on the circuit. So he just made it hell for everyone. But that happens in LA. But for the most of the time, I went on a 10-minute rant about a small feature. Then you cut to my giant shows. I was the on-set dresser for Teen Wolf for 4 years. And like, that was like family. And we did explosions and stunts and monsters, and everyone from top to bottom was amazing. I just did the last major production I did last year was Tacoma FD, and it had the guys from Broken Lizard, and they were the writers, directors, lead actors, and they were amazing. They learned all everyone's names on the first day, and they treated everyone with like respect, and they wanted everyone to be a part of the process. And that seems to be more of the thing I find in LA is that more often than not, from top to bottom, everybody wants to make whatever show they're working on like really good. Everyone cares about the craft. The makeup wants to be good. The hair wants to be good. The painters want their stuff to look good because, when you break it down, everyone wants to get rehired again. But we're all artists who literally care about our craft. When I'm on set doing the on-set dressing, as an on-set dresser was like, I'm the focal point. I'm the only guy during filming that is in charge of the set. There's only one of us, maybe 2 of us if I'm lucky. And so we have to make sure our continuity is good, make sure the lamp doesn't get shoved over. If I need to put a camera where that couch is, I got to pull the couch out. But then when we turn the camera around, I got to put the couch back. I have to make sure the cushions are the same. I got to make sure that the rug lays exactly. If there was napkins on the table, I got to make sure the napkins line up the same way.
I'm not the right person for that job. Let me tell you that much. I'm just not the right person for that job. I know that. I know enough about me to know I'm not that person.
And it's a lot of fun because there is a lot of, as you're trying to make it through, but you also have, some freedom for artistic talent where you're like, you have an eye and you're working with the camera guy and he wants to get the shot. So, you slide stuff from the table over into the foreground, or they want to put a bunch of stuff in your foreground. And you go, no, you can only have so much. And so you have to have compromise with your cameraman and your directors and your people of photography and
Sure.
And it's this great collaboration, and it's wonderful to see once you're on a good crew. And I've been really lucky. Where I've been the onset, like my last 5 shows have been spectacular. The Nightmare show that I described to you was easily 7 years ago.
Yeah, that's good.
I've had a wonderful time of. I did Atypical for Netflix. I did their season 3 as their on-set dresser, and it was cool to see a show that the show was about an autistic boy navigating his way through life and the family struggles and the dynamic and through all that. And so they actually had a really nice voice in the autistic community. So it wasn't just a show just to be a show, but they actually had outreach and try to do positive stuff and just making people aware of the differences, the bad, and kind of taking the stigma out of autism.
Sure.
and they actually had real autistic actors on the show, kids that were on the spectrum, and so like you actually got to see this good part of like this Hollywood machine, and then having an amazing crew and everyone really passionate about like a cool product and crazy actors, like Michael Rappaport. Dealing with him for an entire season is spectacular because he's an amazing character just as a human,
I
and so
gather
you know,
that's him when
yeah,
you
like
see him in interviews and on talk shows. That's him.
oh yeah, like that's full him. That's not a character. That's Michael Rappaport. And he has another big heart with crazy New York vibes. But and you find these amazing actors and these people that feed off these things, and so you all these shows you get to do are an awesome thing about Hollywood, and that's part of the reason I fell in love with production. It was doing all this. As an actor, you're just scraping by and begging for scraps, and it was really tough. When we first got out here, and the rejection's real. Like it's weird to go into an audition and see 40 different versions of you.
Yeah.
Like you thought you were unique. Go to a Hollywood audition where you get cast as like, oh yeah, that looks like that could be perfect for me. And then there's 40 of you. It is surreal.
Oh man.
Holy shit. You all, are we related? Is my dad was
Will
he a
Chamberlain.
fool? What is happening?
Yeah. Wow. Do you miss acting at all? Are you still interested in it? Like, are you officially out of that business?
I mean, I will always keep it open. Like I've done a couple of like cameos of shorts and stuff like that.
Right.
It's always
Upon
fun.
request. Upon
Yeah,
request.
yeah.
I got
I'm not
you.
going out of my way. Like my wife actually, she is still pursuing it. And we have two beautiful kids now. I got an amazing 9-year-old and a super rambunctious almost 3-year-old. And I think once our 3-year-old is kind of back in a spot to where he can be, and we're not in the middle of a pandemic, like she'll go full go for acting again. Because
It's great.
she's an actress. She's an award-winning actress from college, and she booked commercials, and she's been in plays and shows, and she did the whole thing with me. But she's being a mom right now. She's an amazing mom. But when the time's right, she'll be able to pursue acting again, and I'll have a good job, and our kids will be in school, and it'll just be something that we can still kind of pursue this whole Hollywood thing together, and that's really cool.
What about the kids? Are you gonna push them into performing or lightly nudge?
No,
Yeah. I guess not. But if they want to, I mean, would you support?
yeah, 100%. If they wanted to do it, like if they got a commercial, we had a friend of ours who their kid was Baby Bob on the Quiznos commercials like 15 years ago. And
Okay.
so his college got paid for from those series of commercials. And he
Right.
wasn't even 1 year old. So if they wanted to go out and they said, hey, I kind of got this bug, I'm like, sure, I'll go get you a commercial and you can pay for your college for being on a not a Toys R Us commercial because there's no more, but if you want to be in a cereal commercial and be happy for a couple days and be on set, sure, hell, I might even be working the commercial. I might be the guy.
That'd be quite something. Maybe that could be arranged even. Are there any signs that they have an interest in entertainment or performing or anything like that? Do you see any interest of any kind?
There's no signs. They're just fun kids living life and enjoying being kids. No,
That's probably ideal.
yeah. So, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I didn't get the bug until I was, almost a teenager. So,
What might you have learned from your days and as managing buildings, and what from that have you been able to apply, if anything, to art department work? Is
Well,
there any overlap?
you know what? There is. There always is. And there's a lot of people stuff because you have to
Right.
deal with people in. Uh, Unfortunately, when you're a property manager, when you're dealing with people, it's usually when shit goes wrong. Like it's
Makes
never
sense.
just like, hey, you want to come over and have a cup of coffee? No, it's like you need to come over because my sink's backed up and what the hell? They're never happy about it. As anyone who's getting flooded out of their apartment is usually never happy. So there's been a lot of real life in the moment situations that I was very easily to parlay, into on-set work because when things go wrong, you have to have the attitude and the wherewithal to fix stuff, especially as an on-set dresser. Like if something breaks, I have to be able to fix it really quick. And one of the nice things, like when I was back in Michigan, is that my dad really got me into carpentry. And while I was pursuing acting, I was doing carpentry during the day. So that really parlayed into my art department stuff where I was a carpenter and an actor. And it just found the perfect kind of meld into art department for film and television. And while doing property management, that gave me the real life scenarios where shit hits the fan and you got to fix it now and be calm doing it because there's no other alternative.
Got it. You fix things and you have a good attitude during the process. That's all you can really strive to
That's
do
it.
and I guess to be.
Yeah. No, there's,
I
I mean,
gotcha.
you can have a really shitty attitude, but no one wants you back. And, unless you have a good attitude while you're fixing the problem and you fix the problem, which is the most important thing. You fix the problem and then you have a good attitude on the other side. And then people remember, wow, that problem got fixed. And it was really cool during that whole situation. That brings you back for another season on a show that allows you to stay in your management position because if your tenants are happy and your boss is happy, the same thing with us. If my lead man and decorator and designer are happy, and then that makes the director happy and my actors happy, there's, bring Floyd back because, hey, it was a good time and nothing was destroyed or mangled that didn't look good on camera.
Good attitude. It's important to have a good attitude.
Yeah, and that's what I try to do.
More than one person has said it on this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's part of my thing is whenever I work on set as the shooting crew, every morning I try to start off with a positive walkie check because whenever you turn on your walkie and you have your earpiece in, you have to make sure that people are hearing you and you're hearing them. So you do a walkie check and they always say good check. I always take it one step forward, like whatever the day is, and you try to do a positive affirmation, like, "Wow, it is a gorgeous day. You're looking good, and this is a walkie check." And people, uh, or tend to react well to that. They're like, "That is one heck of a check. That's a good check, Floyd. Good to see you, sir." Then at the end of the night, I let everyone know that I appreciate them and before I turn off my walkie, I always say, thank you everyone for having an excellent day. I want you to know that today was hot, but so are you, and I'll see you tomorrow. And then,
Look at that.
you know, and then look, you have that smile on your face and the people that are on the walkie, you end the day in a positive note. And
Yeah, everyone wants to be sexually harassed.
yes, that is the most important
No, it's
thing in the
okay.
modern world
And
that we're finding out. Ooh.
how many people are you sending this message to? Like it's the art department crew, correct?
No, no, this is the shooting crew. This is everyone on
Oh,
channel one.
everyone. Oh,
Yeah.
everyone.
So at this point, I'm shut off from my crew, because I'm the point person on set. I'm the guy responsible that makes contact with the director and the assistant directors, my prop person, and the grip and everyone else. So the uh, what are they? The PAs, the people that are running the show during the filming.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're
I'm the
talking to
point person.
everyone.
yeah. So this is my message to everyone that's there at the shooting, that we're all in this together. I want to have a positive vibe, and let's do this again tomorrow.
Awesome. I'm ready to get out there and go make something with you, man. I'll do whatever. I'll be a background actor. It's fine with me.
Hell yeah, babe, let's do it. Come on.
It's all good. Do you have any long term or even medium term or dreams, goals, plans for art department or otherwise? Do you want to work on and design an Oscar winning movie? Do you want to build a set that you are the lead actor in? Is that what it is, despite you maybe saying otherwise? What is a dream and a long term goal or a long term goal?
I do have long term goals, and like one of the cool things is that I still have a very creative drive. I don't have the drive to be in front of camera, but I still write. I've written a few different screenplays. I've written a series. In fact, I wrote a series with your brother-in-law.
That's
We have an
right.
amazing series that actually got a little bit of traction. A couple of years. But then he had to go get married and move East Coast, and so we put that one on the shelf.
Right.
Uh, but there's other things. I'm constantly writing, and I'm constantly involved in other friends that are doing stuff and giving feedback to their projects. You know, Hopefully someday that we can actually get one of Floyd Conder's productions up and going. But I'm not pushing it right now. I'm enjoying the time, enjoying my kids. I'm enjoying being part of the Hollywood machine that is really cool to be a part of. And I get to do things. We're going to talk about it with cool kids like you, Ed.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like as long as you're connected to the creative world and creativity and you have some element of creativity in your daily life, like you'll be pretty content. Like
Yeah, it
you'll be able
feeds
to
my soul. It's even more than content. It's like it's not just a place.
fulfillment.
Yeah, it really is. I always wanted to be part of Hollywood. Like I knew from a really young age. Like I fell in love with filmmaking. I fell in love with seeing these awesome productions on stage and on the TV and on film. And I didn't know when I was little necessarily that was something that I wanted to do. But the older I got, the more I knew that was the world I wanted to be a part of. And here I am, 42 years old, uh, part of this awesome creative process, and I get to be here. And the stuff that I do gets seen by millions of people. Like millions of people are enjoying the work that I help make, and as a small cog of this Hollywood machine.
Well put, my friend. And I definitely appreciate your time and hearing your story and your journey and all the details that have gone along with it. But I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening. Is there anything else you wanted to cover or talk about, mention? Otherwise, I'll let you plug, promote with anything. Give your social media out if you want. I'll kind of give you the floor and let you
I'm
have it.
fine. You know, if you would check out the shows that I have right now, Tacoma FD, check it out. It's on True TV right now. They're amazing guys. It's fucking hilarious. The show is spectacular. That's the show that's up and running right now that I was last a part of. So you can check that out, True TV. But besides that, if any of your listeners want to find me, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at the Flyod Condor, or you can just look up Floyd Conder. And if you mention this show, I'll let you into my little private world of family and Hollywood.
I thought you were going to give away some kind of gifts that on my behalf that I don't that I wouldn't be able to deliver on. Like, if you do this, Adam will give you a so and so. I'm like, what? No, I didn't promise him anything.
No, I know, because if you like me, Adam will give you a stereo.
I'll give you a boat.
It'll be amazing. It takes 12 double D batteries.
Yeah. It's a boombox from a 90s style boombox.
It's
You will
4
get.
feet wide and fits on your shoulder.
Everyone's gift are these podcast episodes. That's everyone's gift out there. The gifts that keep on giving. But on that note, again, I appreciate your time and
Thank you, Ed.
and energy and story and everything.
Oh, I appreciate it all, man. I can't wait to hear your next show. Besides mine, it's a wonderful show. I'm glad you reached out.
Oh, I appreciate it again. Take care now.
All right, you too, brother. Have a great night.
Later. So there you have it, my conversation with Floyd Conder. That was a lot of fun, and I definitely thank him for taking the time. Technically, he wasn't fired for being sad, though. He was demoted, and then it sounds like he eventually just quit that building managing job. But fired for being sad sounds funnier for sure. Anyway, for everything about this show, of course, head to peoplewelovepodcast.com. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks as always. Let's talk soon. Peace.